Good afternoon, madam.
మ్యామ్ రికార్డ్ ఆప్షన్ ఎనేబుల్ చేశాను మ్యామ్. స్టార్ట్ చేసేయండి మ్యామ్.
Yeah, fine. Good afternoon, everybody. So we are discussing pointers and arrays. Yesterday we discussed the basics of arrays as well as pointers. Now we'll start with strings. Yes, what is a string? String is also an array. It's a character array that ends with a null character. Okay. So if we have to define a string, first one is character array. So this is character array declaration. The size is, for example, 5. And there are different ways of initializing it. Either you can define it character by character. First one is X, second one is Y, third one is Z, and the fourth character is null character. This is one way of defining a string. Internally, memory gets allocated for all the 5 characters, X, Y, Z, null character, and this is just waste. Okay, so this is one initialization, but now we are not using this method to declare. In fact, there is one more way of initialization. You can straight away give XYZ in double quotes, which is a string. An automatic null character is appended at the end of the string like this. So whether you follow this method or this method, the memory allocation is same. Okay, but in fact we have stopped creating like this because internally anyway that is happening. Even if you go for char star A is equal to double quotes XYZ. This is also the same thing. Only thing is you are not asking to allocate this 5 bytes of data. Now for XYZ, how much data is needed? Only this much. X, Y, Z, and a null character is appended. So this is automatically done. And this is your declaration, char star A, only one pointer to hold the address of a character. Okay. Yes, this is a character and this address is 1000 and the 1000 is held by A. This is internally happening. Okay, even if you follow this method, you know array name. Array name is address of the first element of the array. First element is a character, its address, so it is char star and its value is 1000. That is maintained as a constant. Here you are maintaining A as a variable, that's all. You can modify A because this is a variable. Here in this method, A cannot be modified, it is treated as a constant. Here, everything whatever you can do here, same thing can be done here. Only thing is you can modify A here because A is a character pointer variable. You can say A plus plus so that A will point to 1001. That's all. Okay. So recently we started using this way and we stopped. It works. Only thing is we are not using. Fine. So this is declaration and initialization. How do you access? You can access because you have a pointer. The way that we can access is star A, so that it will give me thousands content which is X. So this will give me character X. If I say A plus 1, which means 1000 plus 1 is 1001 because A is a character pointer. I want to retrieve its content, so it is star of A plus 1. So it will give me character Y. Similarly, character Z. Okay. So we can access each and every character like this. If we have to print a string, okay, so we write printf percentage S A. Even if you follow this method, character array, this is what we write, printf percentage S A. But what is A? What we are passing? Even if you follow this method, A is nothing but a char star. Even if you follow this method, A is char star. So printf, when you want to print a string, it is expecting char star. Please understand that. It is expecting char star. But if it is an integer, for example, if I say int A of 5, printf percentage D, we are just giving a variable name, straight away variable name, not a pointer. Correct? Okay. So for normal integers, even if you want a character or a float, we are straight away passing the variable name. But for string, it is expecting char star. If you want to print a string, it is expecting char star. But if you want to print the character, then printf percentage C, content of it is star E. So this one should be char type. But for printf percentages, it is expecting char star. Yes, we are passing char star. So it will print XYZ, which means from this pointer until it finds the first null character is the string. So it will print XYZ. Fine. What are the inbuilt string functions? They are present in string.h header file. This is the header file that we include, and the mostly used functions are strlen, string length. Okay, strlen. It is expecting a char star. We send the same for a simple example. Char star s is xyz. Okay, so we are passing yes. So it will return the length of the string, including null character or excluding null character. It is excluding null character. Only the size, the length here of that string is 3, not 4. Okay, string length excludes null character. Then the next one is string copy, strcpy, string copy. It expects two, s1 and s2 for example, or s1s. See, this is a string. If I have one more string, I want to copy the contents. Okay, something like this. If I say char star s2, you may think that if I say s2 is equal to yes, yes, it will copy because it is assignment. But that is not what I am expecting. Internally, what is happening? S2 is also a pointer. Yes, S is also a pointer which holds 1000. With this one line, this 1000 is copied into this, which means there is only one XYZ. Both of them are pointing to the same character array. That is the meaning if you say S2 equal to S. But that is not my requirement. I want one more string copy. Okay? Then we go for this string copy. If you have, even if you have two character arrays, even if you have char stars only, then whatever is the content of XYZ that is pointed by S, all XYZ characters needs to be copied into some other location, and that location's base address should be with S2. Then you should go for strcpy, string copy. This doesn't work because you are trying to assign the address of that to address of this, which means both are pointing to the same memory location. Then string concatenation, strcat, string concatenation. Okay, this one for example s1 comma s. Already s1 is like this. S1 is ABC. S is like this. If I execute this string cat s1 comma s2, at the end of s1, s characters are also appended. Okay, at the end of s1, which means s1 gets modified to abc and the contents of s also, x, y, z. Then null character. This is how it will be, string concatenation. Okay, there is no disturbance for s. There is no disturbance for s. Only s1. Now it is modified. It is appended with the contents of yes, the second one. The last one is strcmp, comparison. S comma s1. Two strings we want to compare. Okay. If both the strings are exactly same until the null character, then the string comparison returns 0. So if the return value is 0, we can say both are identical. If it returns a non-zero value, okay. So for example, the first one S is XYZ, null character. The second one is ABC, null character. So string comparison does a character by character comparison, first one to first one, second one to second one, third one to third one, it compares. Wherever it finds the first mismatched character, here the very first character is mismatched. So it will stop. It will stop comparison there and it returns the ASCII code difference of the mismatched characters. ASCII code difference. You know the ASCII code of this and this. Capital A is 65, small a is 97. Okay, as per that you know the ASCII codes of other characters. So it gives the difference between the ASCII codes of of the first mismatched characters. If the first character is X, then the second characters are compared. This is Y, this is B. Yes, there is a mismatch. So the ASCII difference of Y and B is returned. So the return value can be either positive or negative. It need not be positive. Okay, if it is 0, they are identical. If it is positive, accordingly, if it is negative. And we use this comparison if we really have to sort strings alphabetical order. Okay, so we can use this positive negative values for alphabetical order sorting. Okay, so that is string comparison. So these are the important functions. There are many other functions, but these are the important functions that we generally use in strings. Let's see array of strings. For example, I want to have cat of XYZ. Each one is a string. That too, there are 3 such strings. So array of strings. Okay. So how do I declare it? To be frank, it is a 2-dimensional array. That's a 2-dimensional character array. Char. There are 3 elements. Okay. The name, let it be A. 3 rows. Each one has 4 columns because there is a null character also. That's all. This is the declaration. Char A of 3, 4. Okay. So we are assuming it to be matrix, but internally it is a single dimensional array. As I told you, there are only 3 elements like this. Each one is a character array of size 4. Character array of size 4. First one has cat null character, pub null character, XYZ null character. Okay, so this is 0th element, first element, second element. Only 3 elements. Array A has only 3 elements in which each one is character array of size 4. 0th element, first element, second element. Right? Now, if I want to assign A to P, for example P, how should I declare this P? What is the declaration? Array name A. I want to assign it to P. So whatever is the type of A, same should be the type of P. What is the type of A? Because it's an array name, it indicates the address of the first element of the array. Address of the first element of the array. So there are only 3 elements in which each element is like this. This is first element, second element, third element. So each element is character array of size 4. So A is address of character array of size 4. P also should be the same. It should be a pointer for character array of size 4. A pointer for character array of size 4. That's all. This is the declaration of P. Same is a declaration for you. Okay, so internally A is maintained as char star of size 4. The value is 1000, for example. This is 1000. So 1001, 2, 3, this is 1004. 5, 6, 7, 1008. Okay. Shall I write some expressions on this? A type pointer to character array of size 4. Value is 1000. P same. Both are same type. Then only assignment was possible. Now if I say P plus 1. Till now P is pointing to this character array of size 4. If I say P plus 1, it will point to the next character array of size 4. It will point to the next character array of size 4. So the base address of that is 1004. By adding an integer to a pointer, type of pointer does not change. So pointer type is same. For that, if I use one star of P plus 1. Till now, P plus 1 is pointing to this pointer to a character array of size 4. One dereferencing in that array, first element's base address. In that array, till now it is pointer for this entire. Now one dereferencing, one star off is pointer to the first element. First element is a character, so it becomes char star type, and its value is still 1004. So whether it is p plus 1 or star of p plus 1, value will be the same. For that, if I say p plus 1 again, or plus 2, this is char star type. So till here it is char star 1004. For that, if I add 2, it is character pointer. If I say plus 1, it is next character. If I say plus 2, it is next character. So plus 2 will point to this one. This is 1005, this is 1006. The value will be 1006. Still char star, because by adding an integer to a pointer, type of pointer does not change. For that, if I use one more star of p plus I 1 plus 2, because it is already char star type. For that, if I use a dereferencing, it will give me its content. Contents of this char star 1006. 1006 content is B. So this is char. I just revised yesterday's concept. Yesterday we have done it based on integers. Now we are doing it based on characters. This line we are writing it as P of 1, 2. P brackets 1, 2. P1, 2 is nothing but this one. You see, P1, this is 0, 1, 2. So it is ascending. So we are writing the code using this pattern, but internally it is working like this. If I say one printf percentage s star of p plus 2, what gets printed? Percentage s star of p plus 2. First of all, whenever it tries to print star of s, we must pass char star only, otherwise it doesn't work. So char star. Let's see, p is pointing to the character array of size 4, p plus 2. Next character array of size 4, next character array of size 4. So up to p plus 2, it is this array's base address, value is 1008. But this is array's base address. For that, if I use a dereferencing, in that array first element's base address. So now this whole thing, value is 1008, but it is char star now. So I have passed the char star and the value is 1008. Print s. So from that character onwards until the first null character is considered as a string, and it prints xyz. Prints xyz. For the same thing, if I pass star of p plus 2 plus 1, then what gets printed? Same percentages. Yes, again this is a char star, because till here it is char star 1008. For a character pointer, if I add 1, it is the next character. It will point to the next character, 1009. So this value will be 1009 and char star. From there until the first null character is considered as a string, and it prints yz. It prints yz. So whatever is the expression that is given, you should resolve it and then print the string. Whether they are asking for a string or a character. If they ask you to print a character, this type should be char, not char star. They should give you an expression which will resolve to char type. If they print percentage, C. Okay. So that is about strings. Yesterday we have seen the difference between pointer to an array and array of pointers, right? Remember that. Integers, same with characters also. Okay. Int star p of 5 is different from int star p of 5. Okay. This is pointer to, this p is this one, pointer. Just to hold the address, only that much memory is allocated. It's a pointer to for an integer array of size 5. This is not in the scene now. Only this is the declaration for this p. So this one must point to, if at all you have an integer array of size 5, this p can point to that. That is the meaning. So this declaration is only for this p. But here it is, p is an array of 5 elements, in which each element is an integer pointer. This is also a pointer, this is also a pointer. So it's an array of 5 elements. That is the difference between these two. Same thing with characters also. Okay. Then see these expressions. Star plus p plus star p plus. What is the difference between these three expressions? For example, there is an array. Okay, A is the array name, so I have declared int star p and set A, assign A. First element's address, right? A means first element's address, first element is an integer. So p is also pointing to the first element, its address is 1000 for example. If I write this line, what is the behavior? With this line, what is the behavior? Okay, it depends on the priority and associativity. Both are unary operators and both have same priority. So we know that unary operators follow right to left associative, which means I need to solve this one first, then only look at this. So in this expression, first I need to increment p. So p is 1000. It's an integer pointer. It is 1000. First it gets incremented. So which means what is happening initially is p equal to p plus 1. Okay. So p will be pointed to 1002 because of this 1000 plus 1. Because it is an integer pointer, this gets multiplied by 2, it becomes 1002. That's why it is pointing to this. Then use dereferencing. Dereferencing for star p is evaluated now. So because it is an integer pointer, star p is its content 20. So if at all you have written like this, x equal to, okay, this is when this line gets executed. So x value becomes 20. This is the first expression's meaning. How about second expression? Again, unary, same priority, right to left associative. If at all I have written a line like this, first star, this gets evaluated. Okay, and that gets incremented also. Okay, first star p. P is initially pointing to this 1000. P is initially pointed to 1000. Star p. Star p means its content because p is into star, its content is 10. So that location must be incremented. So that the meaning of this line is star p is equal to star p plus 1. That is the meaning. Increment star p. So what is star p? This one, this location 10. That must be incremented. So it becomes 11. See, the whole expression, once incrementation is done, the value is 11. That 11 gets assigned to x. That is the meaning. So the meaning of this line is star p is equal to star p plus 1. Incrementation of star p. Okay then. So with this line, this location gets updated and that is assigned to x. If I write like this, again right to left, but this is post increment. Of course I need to solve this, but it is a post increment. We know how post incrementation behaves. For that expression, it is just P. P will not be incremented. Only after its participation with the other expression at the end of the statement, then only P gets updated. So P is still pointing to this 1000. Okay, I'm again taking it to 10. So though we are considering this is post incrementation, so postpone the incrementation. So you apply star P. What is star P? It is 10. So X is assigned with 10. X is equal to star P, that is the meaning. So internally, X is equal to star P, then only P must be incremented. This is the meaning of this. Okay. So X value will be 10 only, then P will be 1002 because it has to be updated to point to the next pointer. Pointer must be incremented. In this case and in that case, pointers are getting modified. In this case, the content is getting incremented, not the pointer. So that is the difference between the expressions. Any doubts? Okay, next one. Let's see array of pointers. Int A of 5. So there are 5 elements. Memory gets allocated like this. This is 1000, 1002, 4, 6, 8. Now I am declaring array of pointers, which means I want to hold the pointers in an array of pointers. So int star P of 5, which means P is an array in which there are 5 elements. Each element is an integer pointer. And I am initializing it to A plus 1, A plus 2, A plus 3, A plus 4. So with this declaration, again there are 5 elements. For example, integer pointer needs 4 bytes, for example. Okay, on my computer it needs 4 bytes. So if this is 2000, because it's a pointer, the next pointer's address will be at 2004. This is 2008, 12, 16. And initialize A value. What is A? Array name. Array name internally it is maintained as first element's address, which is int star, and its value is 1000. So internally A was maintained like this because it's an array name. So that A value is the first value, so 1000. A plus 1, integer pointer plus 1 is next integer pointer, which is 1002, 1004, 6, 8. This is array P. Each one is a pointer. Each one holds the address. But internally, how is P maintained in the symbol table? P, array name again. If it is an array name, it is a pointer to the first element's address. It points to first element's address. It's a pointer. So, int star. For whom? For an integer pointer, not for an integer. Because this is, in this, each element is an integer pointer. Correct? So, array name indicates address of the first element of the array. Address of, so 1 star. First element, what is first element type? Not integer, integer pointer, int star. So, P is maintained as int double star. P is maintained as int double star. Because it is first element's address. First element, pointer to, so star. To the first element. But first element is a not normal integer like this. It's an integer pointer. That's why it means star. That's why int double star. The value is 2000. First element address. If I want to assign P to Q, how should I declare Q? If I want to assign P to Q, how should I declare? Both the types should be same. P's type is into double star, so Q's type should also be into double star. Then only assignment is possible, otherwise it's an error. Yes, declare. So Q is an int double pointer which is pointing to this one, 2000. Whatever is P's value, same thing. Is Q's value, both are into double stars. Okay, fine. Now, if I write different expressions, you should tell me. First, let us start with A. A's type is simple, int star. First element's address. Value is 1000. So, if I say A plus 1, next integer's address. That's all. Next integer's address. It will be 1002. Type is same, int star only. No confusion. Okay? Because it's a normal integer pointer, if I say star of dereferencing, it will give me the contents. Because this one is a normal integer pointer, this is the dereferencing, it will give me the content, integer. Is that okay? Now coming to P, what is P's type? P's type is int star star, int double star. Value is 2000. If I say P plus 1, I say P plus 1. P is like pointing to the first element of this array. If I say P plus 1, it will point to the next element of the. Till now it is pointing to integer pointer. P plus 1 is next integer pointer. Next integer pointer is this one, right? So it will point to the next integer pointer. Even if you want to say 1 means 1 gets multiplied by. P is a pointer for whom? Pointer for an integer pointer. What is the memory needed for an integer pointer I gave you? Each integer pointer needs 4 bytes. That's what I told you. So it gets multiplied by 4. So P plus 1 is nothing but next integer pointer 2004. By adding an integer, type of pointer doesn't change. Int double star. Okay, so this is P plus 1 value. If I say 1 star, it is int double star. For that, if I use a dereferencing, it is also not a pointer for an array. So it's like a simple pointer type only. 1 dereferencing. So till here it is int double star 2004. 1 star is its content. 1 star is its. We have seen pointer to a pointer right yesterday. So 2004's content. 2004's content is 1002 and the type is, because I have already used one dereferencing, okay, and I have retrieved its content, the type of pointer changes to int star because 1002 is int star. I used one dereferencing, that's all. Okay. For that, if I add p plus 1 plus 2, okay, till here it is an integer pointer 1002. If I add 2 to it, now it is integer pointer. Here we are, integer pointer. For that, if I add 2, next integer pointer, 1006. So the value will be 1006 and it is integer pointer. And for that, if I use one more dereferencing, star of p plus 1 plus 2. Now it is 1006 content, which is 40. That is an integer. Okay, we have written different expressions on P. Similarly on Q. Saying Q plus plus, for example, Q plus plus, which means Q gets updated, right? Q equal to Q plus 1. Q is 2000. 2000 plus 1 will be 2004 because Q is into double star. Now Q is pointing to 2004, this one. For example, if I say P minus Q, what is the answer? P is pointing to the first element of the array. Q is pointing to this element of the array. Both are pointing to the same array. Both the types are same. So subtraction of two pointers is valid. Then what is the answer? The number of elements present between these two. Number of elements, not the number of bytes. Number of elements present between these two pointers. P is at 2000. Q is at 2004. Number of elements present between these two are only one. So this gives only one. When Q is already updated, because Q is at 2004, after this line I am saying double star Q. What is the answer? Double star Q. Q is already updated to 2004. Now if I say double star Q, 2 times dereferencing, that's all. With first dereferencing, 2004's content, 1002. With second dereferencing, 1002's content, 20. So this will give me 20, which is an integer. Is that okay? If you write different expressions on pointers and try to solve them, all your doubts gets cleared. If you have any doubts still, you can post me the questions. Last concept of pointers is pointer function. See, you must have seen this expression. For example, int star f char float. For example, if I write this one line, what is the meaning of this? F is a function which takes character and float as input, which returns integer pointer, address of an integer as a return type. This is the meaning of this declaration. But if I say int star f, which is in bracket, char float, what is the meaning of this line? It is pointer to a function. Till now we have seen pointers to variables, different data types. Now there is a pointer for function also. Pointer for a function, but this f can hold the address of only those functions which takes character and float as input, which returns integer as the output. These are the in parameter types. This is the out parameter type. If at all you have any such function which takes these two as inputs and this as the output, f can hold the address of such functions. As I told, if you declare an integer pointer, p can hold only integer variable's address. It cannot hold the address of a character variable, right? Similarly, once I declare this function pointer, I have clearly mentioned this f can hold the address of only those functions which takes these two as input and this as the output. For example, I have a function called second function. Second function takes char, c, float, f, and there is some code in it, and finally it returns an int type. Okay, so the return type is. So second is such a function which takes these two and this as the output. Okay, now f can hold the address of second, no doubt. F can hold the address of such functions. And then you can invoke it by saying through a pointer. See why I have yesterday when I have int a equal to 5, and then I declared int star p is equal to address of I. Why I have hold the address of I? Because I want to access i's content through p by saying star p. I want to access the values of I through pointer star p, right? Similarly, I want to invoke second function using its pointer f. So I can invoke like this by passing the parameters, one character and one float. It returns an integer, so you need to capture it in integer, for example. That's all. This invokes second function. Okay, so a function can also have a pointer. Function pointers are there. So that is about arrays and pointers. See, we have not written any programs on arrays because this is for gate, right? So in the gate questions are like this. Generally, they give code. Maybe they miss one or two lines, and they will give you this is the code which is written to perform this particular task. But two lines are missed. You need to identify what are those two lines. This is one way of question. And second way is they will give you complete code and they will ask you what it is trying to find. So you need to understand the logic of the program and say finally what it actually does, whether it is searching for an element, whether it is inserting a particular value after a particular position. Like this, you need to trace the code, that's all. So in arrays, you need to just trace the code properly for gate, okay? For campus placement, you have to write each and every program from the scratch, no doubt about it. But for gate, tracing is enough. You should be able to trace it that too comfortably, and you must do it a little quickly. Fine. Yes, we will solve gate questions on arrays and pointers first. Then we will go to structures. There are not many gate questions on structures, maybe just one or two. Yes, we will discuss them also, but first we will solve all the questions on pointers and arrays. Please access the same link that I gave you. Google Drive link. Everybody has a link, right? Please, one of you, can you copy the link to chat box so that everybody can access? 6th file, 6 underscore arrays pointer structures. File number 6. Yeah. We forgot to discuss dynamic memory allocation. Yes, let us discuss that also. Dynamic memory allocation. See, what is dynamic memory allocation? By seeing the word dynamic, we understand that it is runtime or execution time. Memory gets allocated during execution. That is the meaning of dynamic memory allocation. Okay, then if I declare a variable like this int a, we call this as a static memory allocation. Correct? This is called static memory allocation. What is the meaning of static memory allocation? When the memory gets allocated for these variables, can one of you tell me, unmute yourself and tell me what is static memory allocation? At what time the memory gets allocated? Meaning of static memory allocation? Yes?
Compile time.
Compile time memory allocation? Okay, if that is the case, let me ask you a question. Today I have written a program called hello.c. Just I have written, so I compiled it also. So the object file is ready. Object file is ready, and today I have executed that also. Done. So memory was allocated at the compile time, for example, and It was executed, execution was also fine, everything is over. So today I have switched off my computer. Tomorrow morning I switched on the computer. By then object file is anyway ready for C program. Now I don't have to compile the program again. I will straight away go for execution. Does the program execute or not? To throw an error saying that there is no variable A declared. It executes or not? No doubt it gets executed. But you have not compiled and the memory was not allocated for A, but still the program when you execute it is running. What's happening then? Yes. So static memory allocation doesn't mean that memory gets allocated in RAM at the time of compilation. No. By the time of compilation, compiler must know that how many bytes are needed for this particular A once you declare it. By the time of compilation, compiler should know for A how many bytes are needed. Fixed. It just knows, it doesn't allocate memory. Allocation of memory definitely happens during execution of the program only. Okay. So that is compile time or static time allocation. See, when I write the program, I am pretty sure that A needs 2 bytes on my computer. So, and that is the reason when we are writing int A of 5. Int A of 5. I know that I want to store only 5 students' data. Static. At the time of writing the code, I know that I want to store only 5 users' data. But there is a case where I do not know how many data items I want to store. I will come to know this only during execution. At the time of compilation, which means at the time of writing the program, I do not know how much of data I will be reading. Only during execution, I will ask the user how many number of integers you want to enter. At the time of execution, he will give me that he wants to enter 30 students' data. That is when I will come to know, yes, 30 students data I need to read. So this is execution time. Only during execution, I will come to know how many users data I need to read from the keyboard or maybe from the file also. Okay. So that is execution time, run time. Only during execution we will come to know how many bytes of block needed to store the data. But here, static data, I know how many bytes are needed at the time of compilation. Okay. When you do not know that, that's when we need to go for dynamic memory allocation. And for this, we have 4 inbuilt functions which we majorly use. The first one is malloc, memory allocation, malloc function. See, last time I gave you this. This is code section, data section, then stack area, heap area. Both are going into opposite direction. This is heap area. So whatever memory that gets allocated here by using malloc, alloc, realloc, the memory gets allocated in heap area, runtime. Okay. So this is in heap area. So malloc, we need to pass the number of bytes that we need. Okay. During execution, we will come to know. So how many number of bytes of block that you need. For example, I need 30 bytes block. 30 bytes of block. If I hard code it, which means I know by the time of compilation itself. Correct? If this is the case, I can go for array itself, static memory allocation only. See, I will come to know only during execution. So n is the value that I read from the keyboard during execution, and that n will be passed here into, for example, there are 30 students data, 30 students marks. So this 30 into size of each integer, size of int. This is what gets calculated during execution, and that is passed to malloc. So these many bytes of contiguous block is allocated in heap area. So memory gets allocated and OS allocates that memory and returns its base address, first bytes address. So it returns the address that we need to capture it into a pointer. Yes. But as a programmer, I know that I want to store integers in it. For example, integers. Okay. I want to store integers in it. So your declaration will be int star. And malloc is a generic function, right? It returns void pointer because As a programmer, you know that you want to store integers. Maybe other programmer wants to store characters. So it returns void pointer. Now because you want to hold it in integer pointer, you need to do a typecasting to integer pointer. Malloc returns void pointer that I converted to integer pointer and hold it in P. So this 30 bytes of block is allocated and P is a pointer that holds the first bytes address. Okay, so when you write this one line, internally this is what is happening during execution. And this allocation is in heap area. Okay, fine. So how do I read the values into this block? Because you have a pointer, you can do that. First, initially you will say star P, which means P's address, its content. So I will say first input data, so marks 30, so 30 marks. Next I will say star of P plus 1, so P will be incremented to next integer. Star of P plus 1, which means its content, I will say some 55 marks. So 55. So like that I can move forward and backward with P. P is the only thing that I have to access the contents of that dynamically allocated. Because it is dynamically allocated, there is no name for it. You have only its base address. By mistake, you lost its address. You lose its base address, you made it as null. That's all, you lost the base address of this block. This memory is allocated to you, but you are not able to use it. You cannot access that block anymore. This is a problem. You lost the memory that was allocated to you. This is lost memory case. Again, a programmer's mistake. By mistake, you lost the base address of this block. Okay, still it is in your memory area only, but you cannot use it anymore. It is like that. Okay. So this is malloc function. And because we have not initialized, all the values will be garbage. Okay, then Kellogg function, clear and allocate. This expects two parameters, how many number of elements or number of data items and what is the size of each element. Example, I want to store integers, so I am passing size of each. Two parameters, how many elements, what is the size of each element. It expects two parameters. Again, it returns void pointer that I am converting it into integer pointer, capturing it in integer pointer. What if I hold it in void pointer? That's okay, but every time whenever you use a dereferencing to access its content, you have to do a typecasting. This is the problem. Every time you need to write it. Instead of that, because as a programmer you know what you want to store in the block, so you do a typecasting for that and hold it in that pointer only, so that you can straight away see P plus 1. That's all. You don't have to do a typecasting every time. Okay, so this also allocates data for n elements. Each one is initialized to 0 because it is clear and allocate. Returns the base address that you hold it in P 1000, pointing to the first element. Okay, this is Kellogg function. Then reallocation. This expects two parameters, old pointer and new size. Old pointer and new size. See, by using malloc or Kellogg, we have allocated memory and we have used that also 30, 40, 70, 90. But during execution, after some time, I realized that this memory is not enough. I need data for another 10 students. Size is not enough, so I want to go for a reallocation. Already memory is there, but still I need more, so reallocate. Then we go for reallocation, for which I will pass the old pointer. By using malloc or Kellogg, I have already allocated memory, right? This is the base address, so that old pointer base address that I will pass here. New size, for the new block, how many bytes of new block that you need? Either you do a calculation like this, or you straight away pass n value, number of bytes that you need as a contiguous block. Okay, that you need to pass as a second parameter. Again, it returns a void pointer, so you should do a typecasting, then hold it in pointer P or Q. Then what it does internally is, already there is a block of memory. So it allocates a new block that you are asking for with this new size. All the old data of the elements is automatically copied. You don't have to copy. So 30, 40, 70, 90 are automatically copied, and still you have extra space, and it returns the base address so that you can capture it, and the old block is cleared automatically. You don't have to clear, and that is freed from the memory. If you already there is a block, but you want to increase the size, if you go for malloc and kelloc, all this work should be done by you. You should allocate new memory, you should do the copying, and then free this free space of the old block because it is no more useful. Okay, all that work should be done by you, but if you use realloc, everything is done by this function. Okay, that is realloc. Last one is free. Free. Free the memory. Once your usage is over, you should free it. Okay, so this is a pointer p which is pointing to this block. So when p is pointing to the base address, that's when you need to pass p to free function so that it will clear the memory completely. It will remove it. Till now it is in heap area. Now when you say free p, that's when the block's allocation, it is given back to operating system. It is not in your process area anymore. Okay, so we need to free it. If you do not free it, your work is completed, but you have not freed it from the heap area. It remains in the heap area until your program execution is completed. Only at the time of total completion of the program, that's when it will remove all the resources, right? It will give back to OS all the resources. So at that time, memory gets released. Till then, it is sitting in your heap area only, though you don't need it anymore because you are not free. You are using free. Okay, so that is free p. But you need to pass this p to free function only when this p is pointing to the first byte of the block that was allocated. When p is pointing to somewhere in between, so this is the block, but p is pointing to this element in between somewhere. When p is here, if you pass to free, it will throw a runtime error. You should pass this p only when it is pointing to the first byte of the block that was allocated. See, at the time of allocation, it has given you an address, and that you captured it in p. And when the same value you need to pass it to free, that's when the block gets reallocated. Okay. So this is about dynamic memory allocation. Yes, let us all get questions now. First question. M equal to malloc of 5. So 5 bytes of block. Then immediately M is made as null. You tell me, first memory gets allocated. Its base address is with M. You hold it. But immediately M is made as null. You lost the base address of the block that was created. What is the meaning of this? You lost the memory, right? So you have to map with 1, 2, 3. So you lost the block that was allocated to you. Okay, next one, Y. Free N. So you freed it, but then you are saying N value. See, N is a pointer pointing to something. But then you said free N, which means whatever it is pointing to, that is deallocated from the memory. It's not there anymore. Okay, but then you are saying N value, N arrow value. You are trying to access the value. Is this okay? There is no memory. It's free. But then still you are saying N arrow value equal to 5. You are trying to assign a value to it. the memory which is not there with you anymore. So what is this? This is dangling pointer error. The memory is not there, but you are trying to access it. It's a problem. Dangling pointer. And Z is char star P is equal to A. At the pointer, first of all, you should say char star P equal to address of some memory location. That's when you can say star P equal to single quote A. Without initializing this pointer, you are trying to access, you are trying to assign a value to it. This is uninitialized pointer error. Without initializing the pointer, you are trying to access it. This is uninitialized pointer error. So that is the mapping. X to 3, Y to 1, Z to 2. Second question. One. Any doubts? Any questions? If you do not have any questions, please mute yourself. P1 block, int star g of void, int x equal to 10, return ampersand x. Okay, P2, int star g of void, int star px equal to 10, return px. P3, star g void, star px equal to malloc, size of int. Star px equal to 10. Return px. Now the question is, which of the above three functions is likely to cause problems with pointers? Likely to cause problems. Which one may cause problem with pointer? First one, P1. Does it give any problem? G is a function, integer variable x, value is 10. For example, it has some address, and then I am returning its address. Returning the address of x. Is this a problem? Do you see any problem with this? Any guess? Yes, it is a problem. Why? Because int x is a local variable to this function. Memory gets allocated, initialized, everything is fine, you use it, and then you are returning its address to the calling environment. By the time control goes back to the calling environment, this variable x is dead, it's not available anymore. Because the lifetime of auto variables is as long as the control lies within the block in which it is declared. Once the control goes back to the calling environment, this x is not available, but you return its address. Obviously, you will try to access through that address. Why did I return the address to access? So you are trying to access a memory location which is not in your process area anymore in the calling environment, which is a problem. Dynamic pointer should not do this. So it will cause problem with the pointers. Even is a problem. Coming to P2, do you see any problem? Int star px is a pointer variable. Okay. You are saying star px equal to 10. What is the meaning? X is having some address. The value in that address should be 10. But px is not initialized. You didn't say int star px equal to address of something. Without initializing this pointer, you are saying star px equal to 10. It has some garbage. You are going to that garbage and then that location and trying to assign a value 10 to it. Should not do it. Uninitialized pointer problem. So P2 is also a problem. Coming to P3, px is a pointer variable. Then px equal to int star of malloc size of. So dynamically memory gets allocated for an integer. Its base address is returned and that is captured by px. Star px equal to 10. So px has some address. The value in that must be 10. This is also fine. Return px. So return 1000. So I am saying return 1000. Is this a problem? I am returning px, which is the address of this dynamically allocated memory. So when I go to the calling environment, I will try to access. I will try to access by using that address. Is that a problem? It is not a problem. It will not cause any error with the pointers because the memory that you created with dynamic memory allocation, which is sitting in heap area, it is available throughout the execution of the program because you have not freed it. It's available, so you can access it. Okay, so that will not cause any problem with the pointers. Only this one will cause a problem because by the time you went to the calling environment, memory was not there. Without initializing it, you tried to use it. This is also a problem. That is not a problem. Generally, we should not do, but it's okay even if you do it. It is working. It's not an error. These two are errors. Actually, the advantage of functions is structured programming, right? So the variables of this memory location should not be accessed by the other function. That is our actual requirement of functions, the structured programming. Okay, the privacy of the variables, but that is lost with this method. The memory that is created in one function can be accessed by other functions because C supports pointers concepts. Okay. That is the advantage as well as disadvantage of C programming. So P1 and P2 cause problems with pointers but not P3. That is the answer. Only P1 and P2. Answer is C. Third question. This is a time-taking question, but it is not a tough question. ABC of char star S if S of 0 is equal to null character, return. Otherwise, ABC of S plus 1, ABC of S plus 1, printf percentage C S of 0. So from the main function, we are calling only ABC of 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 is a string. What will be the output of the program? Function name is ABC, which is invoking ABC again, which means it is a recursion. Recursion, pointers, array, string, everything seems to be covered. If you see recursion, you should remember how we solve recursion questions. One function call in one line. All pending lines after the line. If you have local variables, you should draw boxes. If you have a static variable, you draw box only on top of all the function calls. All these points should come into mind. And you should solve by using only that method. Okay, let us solve. So from the main function, I am calling ABC of 1, 2, 3. Whenever I see a string, memory gets allocated for character 1, character 2, character 3 and null character. For example, its base address is 1000. When I pass a string like this, which means I am passing the first character's address. First character's address in this case is 100. So the 1000 will be passed, and that's why it is captured into char stack. Please observe. The normal parameter is also char. So it is expecting the address of a character. Yes, I am passing the address of the first character, 1000. So I have passed 1000. That is copied into the formal parameter s, which is a local variable. So I have drawn a box memory into which 1000 is copied. Okay, now execute. If s of 0, what is the meaning of s of 0? Star of s plus 0. That is the meaning. Whenever you see an array, convert it into pointers and see. S is 1000. 1000 plus 0 is 1000. Because it is char star of 1000 is its content. So 1000's content is 1, character 1. So s of 0 is character 1, which is not equal to null character. So we will come here. We will execute these 3 lines one after the other. So first ABC of s plus 1. ABC of s plus 1. S is 1000. 1000 plus 1 is 1001 because it is char star only. Of course, after this, I need to execute these 2 lines also, but I am writing after this. ABC of s plus 1 and printf s of 0. These 2 we will execute later. By seeing this first call, I will jump. ABC of 1001. 1001 gets copied into the formal parameter, which is local variable, and execute. If s of 0, what is s of 0? Star of s plus 0. But s is 1001. 1001 plus 0 is 1001. Star of dereferencing its content. 1001's content is 2. This is 1001, 1002, 1003. So 1001's content is 2. It is not a null character. So return will not be executed. I will continue with this. ABC of s plus 1. 1000 plus 1 is 1002. ABC of s plus 1 and printf s of 0. We will execute later. By seeing this function call ABC of 1002. Yes, copied with 1002. Okay, if s of 0, star of s plus 0, 1002 plus 0 is 1002, its content is 3, it is not a null character, so we will not return, we will continue. ABC of s plus 1, 1002 plus 1 is 1003. ABC of s plus 1, printf s of 0. Now, by saying this, ABC of 1003. S is copied with 1003. Now you execute. If s of 0, star of s plus 0. S of 0 is star of s plus 0. Okay, 1003 plus 0 is 1003. Star of its content is null character. Yes, it is equal to null character. So I will return. So I came from here. I will return to the calling environment. Just return, nothing. And continue the pending lines. Now I will look at this. ABC of s plus 1. In this environment, s is 1002, s plus 1 is 1003. So call ABC of 1003. This is also ABC of 1003 only. So I will come to this environment, execute, and it returns because s of 0. S is 1003, its content is null. So it is equal to null, so it returns. And continue the pending line. This one. Printf s of 0, which is star of s plus 0. What is s in this environment? 1002. 1002 plus 0 is 1002. Its content is 3. So with this printf, it prints 3. this printf, it prints 3. Okay, done. Execution of this is completed. So go back to the calling environment. This is the calling environment. So because it is completed, I will continue the pending lines. This one, s plus 1. S is 1000, 1000 plus 1 is 1002. Now you should call ABC of 1002. See, this is ABC of 1002 only, right? So this will invoke this one, it will further invoke this and finally it prints. So this 1002 call printed 3. So this 1002 call also will print the same thing by invoking all this. It does the work completely. Again it prints 3. Because there is no modification to the array, all the invocations are done again, but only 3 is printed. So this execution is also completed and continue. Printf s of 0. S in this environment is 1001. 1001's content is 2. Okay. So this line is also completed. We printed 2. Execution completed. Go back to the calling environment and continue. S plus 1. 1000 plus 1 is 1001. See, with this call 1001, it invoked this, and finally returned and printed this much. Just this one call does all the work and printed 332. This is also same call. It will also invoke all this and print the same thing again. 332 again, no doubt, because there is no change in the array. But the work is repeated. So this line is also done. Continue. Yes, is 1000. Its content is 1. Finally it prints 1. So this printf prints 1. So the output of the program is 332, 332, 1. There are 2 calls in ABC. Both the calls are doing the same thing because there is no change in the array. Whatever is the first call is doing, the same thing is done by the second call also. Any doubts? So we go to the next question. Fourth question. Consider the following C program shown below. Int x, there is a global x, void q, int z, z plus equal to x, print z. Print z means printf, so that is given as hash define. Print z means printf function. Then void p, int star y, int x is equal to star y plus 2. Call q of x, ry is equal to x minus 1. Again print x. Print x means print fx. Then main function x equal to y, p of address of x, print x. What is the output of the program? There is a global variable x. If you do not initialize it, it is automatically initialized to 0. That is the first step. Then the execution starts with main function. So start main. The first line is x equal to 5. Because I do not have a local x in main, obviously it will access its outer block. Outer block is global program. Global x is initialized to 5. Then p of address of x. Again I do not have a local x. So again it will access the global x and its address is passed. So its address is 1000, that is passed to p. Coming to p's environment, the formal parameter name is y. Local variable. Formal parameter is a local variable y. Into which address is copied. 1000 is copied. Address of x you passed, that is captured in y. Then next line int x, which means there is a locally declared x. Int x is equal to x is equal to star y plus 2. What is star y? Y has some address, the value in that is 5 plus 2, 7, updated to x. X means local x. I have local x, so update local x. Then call q of x. X means local x, 7. So call q with 7. The formal parameter is z, into which 7 is copied. All by value. Then z plus equal to 1, which means z equal to z plus x. Z is 7. X means I do not have local x, so global x 5. 12 is copied into z. Then print z, which means printf z. Z value is 12, printed. Execution completed, come back. Come back and continue. After q of x, I have star y equal to x minus 1. What is x? Local x. 7 minus 1, 6. Is updated as star y value. What is star y value? Y has some address, the value in that must be updated to 6. Yes, updated. Then print x. In this case, if I say print x, x means a local x. Obviously, always local x. If it is not there, then out of it. Okay, local x is 7. Execution completed, go back to the calling environment and continue. So here I have print x. Here x means there is no local x, so global x value is 6. 1276 is the answer. Here whenever you refer x, which is local x, how you access this global x is by using the address. Whenever you refer to x, obviously it always access local x. There is no way that you can touch global x. Just to access global x, I have its address, and through that address we have modified. Next question. expression. Swap function. You have passed int a, int b, int temp. Temp equal to a equal to b equal to temp. In order to exchange the values of two variables x and y, see, we want to exchange the values of x and y, not a and b. How should I call? I want to swap x and y values. How should I call this swap function? Call swap x comma y. If I call swap with xy values, x value, y value are copied to a and b, and a and b are swapped, there is no effect for x and y because it is called by value. If you do option A, it is called by value technique. There will not be any effect for x and y. So option A is wrong. Option B, call swap function as ampersand x ampersand y. If I pass the addresses of x and y, but you have not declared int star a, int star b, you have not declared pointers, then how can I pass their addresses? First of all, compiler will throw error if you call swap by passing addresses. So option B is also wrong. Option C, swap xy cannot be used as it does not return any value. Swap xy call is not okay. Yes, that is true, but is it because it is not returning a value? Swap function need not return any value, it just has to swap and keep what? It doesn't have to return any value. Swap xy cannot be used, but the reason is not that it is not returning a value. See option D. Swap xy cannot be used as the parameters are passed by value. Yes, this is passed by value. If you do like this, swap cannot be used because swap xy, if you do that, it is like call by value, xy are not exchanged. So that is the reason. Answer is option D. Swap xy cannot be used as it is called by value technique implementation. Next one, sixth question. Char star s is equal to string. Int length strlen of s for I equal to 0, I less than length, I plus plus, p of I is equal to s of length minus I. After the for loop, percentage s p. What is the output of this program? So there is a string s. S holds the first character's address, which has string null character. Then there is a character array p where there are 20 characters like this. P is also first byte address. I equal to 0, I less than length. What is length? String length of s. If I pass this, what is the string length function returns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, not 7. It returns just 6 because it excludes null character. So length value is 6. So I equal to 0, I less than 6 means I goes till 5, I plus plus. First, I value as 0. So P of 0 is equal to S of length is 6, 6 minus I is 0. So S of 0, whatever is S of 6 value, that must be copied to P of 0. But what is S of 6? This is S of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. S of 6 is null character. Null character is sitting as p of 0 value. The very first character is null character. After that, in this for loop, you will copy. First you will copy G, then N, then I, then R, then T. What is the point? If the very first character is a null character, and if you try to print P from here up to first null character is a string, and the very first null character is a string, which means it is empty, no output. It's like an empty string. Though you have copied the characters after the null character, if you pass only the base address, the base address value itself is null character, so it's an empty string. So just by seeing the code, okay, what it does is it is reversing the string. Just by assuming that, you should not go for the answer. It is not reversing. Logic looks like it is reversing, but internally that is not what is happening. Simple trick. Next question. Seventh question. What does the following C statement declare? Int star of f. Int star. What is this declaration? F is pointer to a function. Whenever you keep it in brackets, f becomes pointer to a function. For that function which takes integer pointer as an argument, which returns integer as a return type. For that function, f is a pointer to a function. Now verify the line. Compare this statement with ABCD. Check option C. It's a pointer to a function that takes integer pointer as an argument and returns an integer. Answer is C. Eighth question. Char C. J 2011. Char star P is equal to C. Printf percentage S P plus P of 3 minus P of 1. When you say printf percentage S, this definitely should be a char star. So from that position until the first null character gets printed. Okay, let us see how C is C, char C. Okay. Each one is a character, no doubt. 2011, finally null character. Okay, this is array C, this is C of 0, C of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then char star P, P is a pointer into which we are assigning C. C means first character's address. For example, if the address is 1000, that address is assigned to P. So now whether you access through C or through P, all are same because both are pointing to the same thing. Whatever you can do with C, same thing you can do with P also. Because both are char stars and pointing to 1000 only. Okay, then printf percentage S P plus. What is P? P is 1000. P plus. What is P of 3? Whether it is C of 3 or P of 3, both are same. P of 3 is E, character E, minus P of 1. C of 1 and P of 1 both are same, character E. So this is the expression. This is a pointer, a character pointer, and then characters. See, for a character pointer, what are the arithmetic operations that we can perform? You can add and subtract integers, that's all. You cannot add and subtract characters. But if you write character, there is an internal typecasting, automatic typecasting that's happening. A character is converted to an integer. What is the corresponding integer value for a character? It's ASCII code. So with the corresponding ASCII code, this gets added and subtracted. Capital A, this is 65, this is 69. So 69 minus 65 is 4000 plus 4 is 1004. So if this is 1000, this is 1001, 2, 3, 4. So from 1004 until the first null character. So this whole thing 1004 is char star which is passed to printf function. So from there until the first null character is considered as a string and it prints 2011. That is the answer. 2011. So that's why you should have command on the expressions of pointers. Immediate doubt, if you write like this, how can we add characters to character pointers? Next question. Question number 9. There is a main function int c star b star star a. C equal to 4, b equal to address of c, a equal to address of b, printf percentage d. We are calling f function by passing c, b, a. Whatever this function returns, that gets printed. That is the output. Okay. Now the function int f function int x int star y int star star z. There are two local variables y and z. Star star ppz. There are py and ppz. Py star star ppz plus equal to 1. Z equal to star star ppz star py plus equal to 2. Y equal to star py plus equal to 3. Return x plus y plus z. Yes, let us execute. First main function. This is main area. There is a local C. Value is initialized to 4. For example, its address is 1000. Now there is a pointer variable b in star b which has address of c. So address of c is 1000 held by b and b's address is 2000 that is captured by a int double star a. Pointer to a pointer. A holds address of b that is 2000. Okay, but A also has an address that is 3000. Now what I am calling is F. By passing C, B, A, C value, B value and A value are passed to F function. Whatever that function returns, that gets printed. Now coming to F environment. The F environment, we have first variable as X, into which first value is copied 4. Then there is py, integer pointer py, into which 1000 is copied. And there is one more formal parameter ppz, into which 2000 is copied. Okay, whatever we passed, same thing is captured in formal parameters. Okay, then there are two local variables y and z. Okay, y, z. Now start executing. Star ppz plus equal to 1, which means star ppz is equal to star ppz plus 1. That is the meaning. But what is star ppz? ppz has some address. That address has another address. The value in that address 2 times dereferencing 4, which means this content. This content must be added to 1 and should be the content of the same. So this location must be incremented by 1. That is the meaning. Okay, updated. This line is done. Next, z equal to star ppz. Z is equal to star ppz. What is star ppz? ppz has some address. That address has another address. The value in that is 5. So this is 5. Should be assigned to z. Z is local z. Yes, assigned. Then star py plus equal to 2, which means star py is equal to star py plus 2. But what is star py? Py has some address, the value in that, this location, 5. Plus 2 is 7. 7 should be the value of star py, which means this location. Updated. So this line is also done. Then y equal to star py. What is star py? Py has some address, the value in that, 7. Must be assigned to y, local y. This is also done. Then x plus equal to 3, which means x equal to x plus 3. What is x? Local x, 4. 4 plus 3 is 7. Should be local x value. Yes, updated. This is also done. Return x plus y plus z. So x plus y plus z. Local x is 7. Local y is also 7. Local z is 5. 14 plus 5, 19. 19 is what is returned. Return x plus y plus z. Return 19. That is returned to this as a return value of this function, which is in printf statement. So it will print 19. Answer is 19. Just for explaining, I am elaborating, but you will not take this much time when you are doing practice or when you are solving. Okay. Expression. Tenth question. This is a simple question. Global variables int I 0 j 1. Then there is a main function f of address of I, address of j. Printf percentage d I comma j. You will follow the syntaxes. Then there is a function int star p, comma int star q. P is equal to q. Star p is equal to 2. That's all. What does the following program print? So global variables I 0, j 1. I address is 1000, j address is 2000, for example. Then I'm calling main function. In the main function, there is a call for f function by passing address of I and address of j. But I do not have local I and j in main. So obviously I will access global I and j. So their addresses, global I and j addresses are passed. 1000 and 2000 are passed to f function. Okay, then come to f function environment. The formal parameters are p and q. Both are integer pointers. Yes, I am passing the addresses, so they need to be captured into pointers. PQ. So 1000 and 2000 are copied respectively. P and Q. Now first line, P equal to Q, which means whatever is the content of Q should be assigned to P also. So P lost 1000. Then star P equal to 2. So P has some address, the value in that must be updated. Execution completed, come back and print ij values in main function. But I don't have local I and j in main. So global I and j. Ij values are 0, 2. So the output is 0, 2. Is that clear? Any doubts till now? You can continue all other questions. They will not take much time if you really try. Initially it may take time, but try to get the right answers. That is more important. Initially it may take time, but try to get the correct answer. If you understand the concept clearly, you will get the right answers. And you should follow the method of solving. Don't vaguely try to solve. You will get wrong answers, and all those wrong answers will be available as options. That is the first disadvantage if you are preparing for GATE. You will see one student will try in one method, second one try in a different method. All the options are definitely available. See, whether you know this or not, questions, just to set a question, the amount is normal, but to set the options, because they have to try out all with all mistakes and then give the options. So most of the students will get wrong answers. It will drag you towards the wrong answer. So please be very careful while solving. If you follow a method and then solve, you will get right answers. Okay? Please try to solve as homework at least the next 10 questions. We will discuss them in the next class. If we complete this, we are done with C almost. Just structures, it will not take more than half an hour. So with that, we will be done with the first subject, C programming. Okay, then we have data structures and algorithms also. Okay, we will meet in the next class. If you have any doubts, you can ask me your questions now. Please unmute yourself. Any questions? No questions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.